Hello and welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. We have finally made it, the 24th of December. I can open the last door on my Deep Space Pest Control advent calendar from Mantic Games. What a wild ride it has been. Actually, that's a bit of a lie. This calendar hasn't been quite as exciting as I would have hoped for, and I will be getting into that in a moment. But first, we need to open door 24. We already know what it is. It's our Teraton mercenary, who is the hero of the hour. And yes, this is a really nice miniature. This is the best miniature in the calendar by a country mile. I think the blue plastic is helping to bring out the detailing, but it generally looks much better than the vermin. It's a great looking character, and I think I could see him working quite nicely in a game of something like 5 parsecs from home. This is a really good, solid way to finish the calendar. Or is it? At this point, we have opened all 24 doors. The game map and instructions for the game we can play with everything we have accumulated over the last 24 days is tucked under the plastic tray inside the box. But before we take a closer look at that, I want to review just the experience of opening this calendar, independent of whether or not the game ends up being fun. As far as I'm concerned, the idea for a board game calendar is a good one, but it was better in theory than in practice. Many of the days just weren't exciting. I can't imagine many people were thrilled when they got a small plastic box, or a small plastic box, or a small plastic box. With no sense of what you are building towards and nothing to do with the things you are accumulating while you wait, it's hard to feel much of anything. You need to give a reason for someone to be excited about little plastic boxes. Additionally, it very quickly became apparent that Mantic Games had filled the calendar with one each of the bits of furniture from their sci-fi terrain crate. While this makes sense, it feels a bit arbitrary. It felt like they weren't putting things in the calendar with purpose. They were filling the doors with whatever they had easily to hand. To make things worse, many of the secrets were spoiled on the back of the box, including the miniature that was behind day 24. Giving away the final surprise is a big no-no for me. Really, the Teraton should have appeared on day 1, as you knew you were going to get him, and it's a nice miniature that sets a standard. The final day should have been a real surprise, a boss monster or something that you weren't expecting. Speaking of which, the included game does have a boss fight in it, but when the boss turns up, you just use one of the regular vermin miniatures. That is shoddy. For days and days we got scrappy bits of furniture, when all along the game calls for a boss miniature that they didn't include. And as for the furniture, well, guess what? It does nothing in the game. It is set dressing. Overall, the concept is neat, and I did quite enjoy opening the calendar each day, but I felt the execution was lacking. I would rather have paid more and had more miniatures. I was excited on the days I had miniatures. A few bits of terrain is cool, but there was just too much of it, and it wasn't clear enough what the purpose of it might be. So, while I liked the 5 miniatures I got, and some of the terrain is okay, I can't imagine buying another one of these calendars unless the approach to them is revamped. I would want more surprises, more miniatures, and more sense that it had been constructed with a purpose rather than being thrown together. And that's before I even consider the game, which is infuriating. As suspected, it's a sort of wave defense game played over this rather pretty map. Rats will come out of the spawning points, and you win by closing all 6 of those access routes before you are overwhelmed and die. To set up the game, you place Cairo the mercenary in the center space, where he will look all cool and moody. You then place all the furniture on the red spaces on the board, where they will act as walls. They block movement and line of sight. And that's it. You can place the furniture wherever you want on the spaces. Doesn't really matter. You don't even have enough bits to cover all of the hexes. You just chuck a few bits in there haphazardly. Why is that desk next to a picnic table? Don't know. Why is there an ammo crate by a specimen tank? Don't know. Why is there a bookcase in the middle of the room? Don't know. You then shuffle these 6 hatches and place them on the spawn points. These are the hatches you have to close. Then you take the 2 ranged vermin and place them on the spawn points at the top of the board. These vermin have guns and can shoot up to 6 hexes. The 2 close assault vermin are placed on the 1 and 2 spots on the spawn tracker. These vermin can only attack when they are adjacent, even though they too have guns. We then place the bonus action tiles on the spaces at the edge of the board and the damage tokens for tracking Cairo's health on the health tracker. With that done, we are ready to play. And I have to say, I do like how all of the trackers are integrated on the board. That's neat and tidy. It makes the game feel compact and manageable as a solo experience. But at this point, I pretty much run out of good things to say. The game is simple. First, Cairo activates. He can shoot and then move up to 6 hexes, or move up to 6 hexes and then shoot. When he moves, he cannot pass through other models or terrain hexes. When he shoots, he targets a model within 12 hexes. First you check for range by counting the shortest path to the target. Sometimes there is more than one shortest path. Then you check for line of sight. If all of the shortest paths do not cross a miniature or a red terrain hex, line of sight is clear. If some of the paths are clear but some aren't, the target is in cover. If all of the paths are blocked by terrain hexes or miniatures, the target is hidden and cannot be fired at. And I think there is something off here. The rules seem to be lacking a very important proviso, that if you are shooting while adjacent to a terrain hex, that terrain hex doesn't count as blocking for you. This would be to simulate being crouched behind the barricade shooting out. With the rules as they are presented here, in this image, both Cairo and the vermin would be classed as in cover, which seems odd. Disastrously, being in cover impacts your ability to target an opponent as much as it impacts their ability to target you. And if a model is classed as hidden, they actually can't fire out from their hidden location. They need to move into the open first, which is shoddy. If Cairo manages to find a target, he rolls 2 dice. The target rolls 1 dice unless they are in cover, in which case they roll 2. Each side picks their highest score, and if Cairo's is higher, he kills the target. The vermin is placed on the spawn tracker in the lowest numbered open space. Additionally, on his turn, Cairo can play up to 1 bonus action token. 5 of these tokens let him take a bonus shoot action, rolling 3 dice instead of 2. 3 of them let him make a bonus move action up to 6 hexes, ignoring terrain and miniatures. This, frankly, is the best bit of the game. You have a limited store of bonus shoot and move actions. You can do 1 per turn, but once you are out of tokens, you are out of luck. The bonuses are really powerful and you will want to use them a lot, but you will also want to save them for desperate times. It's decent, solid resource management, and I like that each token grants a specific bonus rather than an action of your choice. Finally, as a free action, if Cairo is on or adjacent to a spawn point that doesn't have a model on it, he can seal it. You remove the token from the board and regenerate 1 health point if it has a health symbol on the reverse. After Cairo is done, all of the vermin on the board will activate. You can have a second player control them if you wish, or you can play the game solo using a basic AI. The close assault vermin try to get into hand-to-hand combat. The ranged vermin will either shoot or move into range and then shoot. They will also try to get into cover, which, as I have already mentioned, would make it harder for them to hit Cairo. At the end of their turn, all vermin adjacent to Cairo move 1 space directly away, and then you check for respawns. There can be a maximum of 3 vermin in play, so if there are less than 3 vermin on the board, you roll 1 dice for each vermin missing. That means if there is 1 vermin on the board, you would roll 2 dice. For each roll of a 6, the vermin on the lowest numbered space on the spawn tracker will appear on the closest open hatch to Cairo. Remaining vermin on the track then move up to the lowest open number, ready to spawn later. And yes, this is all in complete contradiction to the arrows on the spawn tracker, which show the flow of reinforcements moving down towards the 4th spot and then out onto the board, which is shoddy. Once Cairo has closed 5 hatches, a boss rat spawns on the boss space, and no more rats will spawn after that. You just use whichever vermin is in the number 1 spot on the spawn tracker to represent the boss. And yes, that is shoddy. The boss attacks in close combat with 3 dice or in ranged combat with 2 dice. Cairo wins if he kills the boss and closes all 6 hatches. Overall, it's a game. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much, and I think I got a bit less than that. There are some good things. I like the bonus actions and tying health regeneration to the completion of the objectives, but the shooting rules seem unfinished. The furniture terrain feels shoehorned in for the sake of making use of it, and the omission of a miniature to represent the final boss is ridiculous. Additionally, the rules are full of typos. The AI rules for the vermin aren't as clear as they could be, and the arrows on the spawn tracker are going the wrong way. I am happy I tried out the calendar. I do like some of the things I got out of it. I am going to play the game a few times with my daughter. But this isn't something I could strongly recommend. The concept is strong though, and I hope Mantic or another company runs with it. A calendar like this, handled differently, could be exceptional, rather than merely okay. But that is it from me for now. It's Christmas Eve and I am going to pour myself a drink and watch Muppet Christmas Carol with my family. If you like this video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like this video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully I will see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.